Welcome into our sports talk at the stadium here at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida, where we had a heck of a football game, but a heck of a heart if you're Clemson, a missed opportunity, or maybe you could say missed opportunities for Clemson. They absolutely controlled this game, really from start to finish. After four quarters, Florida State had negative yards rushing, negative 13. As a matter of fact, the defending national champions, even before the game, put themselves behind the eight ball with Jameis Winston's off-the-field antics that cost him at first one half, and then, of course, the entire game here. Clemson went with its backup quarterback for most of this one, as well as Cole Stout played the first three series, and after that, it was all Deshaun Watson. But let's talk about what went wrong for Clemson. You know by now they lost 23-17 in overtime. It shouldn't have even gone to overtime. Clemson should have won this in regulation and maybe even by double digits. I'll tell you why. Four missed opportunities in the red zone. And sometimes in the red zone you settle for a field goal and you go, missed opportunity. Those are tough. It's really tough when you get inside the red zone and you settle for nothing. Four times Clemson was inside the red zone and got nothing. Two of those times they were inside the 10. Nada. You're not going to go on the road and beat the number one team in the country, the defending national champion, when you get stymied four times in the red zone. It started in the first quarter. Clemson could have got on top early with the touchdown. Cole Stout initially missed Jordan Leggett, threw low. Leggett would have scored in the end zone over my shoulder here in that far corner. Low ended up being incomplete, so they had to settle for a field goal, 23-yarder, a chip shot. That was missed. No points for Clemson. Florida State ended up kicking a 50-yarder to take the early lead in that one. Later in the third quarter, Clemson and this goal right over my shoulder here, they were about that far away, second and goal. That far away, snap goes over Deshaun Watson's head. They lose 23 yards. 2 plays later, they miss a 40-yard field goal. And that play was set up on a 20-yard reception by Seckinger that initially was ruled a touchdown. They reviewed it, and his knee was down right there on the 1.5-yard line. You still thought it was just a foregone conclusion that Clemson would pound it in. Did not go under center. Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney both said the reason why is Watson has struggled in practice under center. He's not comfortable under center. He's a guy that works best out of the shotgun. Their offense is effective out of the shotgun. They had no problems doing that. A lot of people have asked about why they didn't go under center, but the snap went over his head. They lost 23 yards, end up settling for a 40-yard field goal that they did not connect. So that's number 2 inside the red zone without scoring. Then near the end of regulation, Florida State on 3rd and long decided to go for a pass over the middle, and McGuire airmailed it. It was intercepted by Clemson, returned to the Florida State 26-yard line. They had everything set up to win it right there. You just run it a few times, and the fact that you missed a couple of kicks, though, that's in the back of Dabo Swinney's head. So they figure we're going to get as close as we can. On 2nd and 2 from the 14, C.J. Davidson is stripped, loses the ball, fumble recovered by Florida State. They were able to send it to overtime. That's 3 opportunities in the red zone without scoring for Clemson. First possession of overtime, Clemson, incomplete pass, sack, but then a little screenplay that got almost all the yards back. It was a 3rd and 15. They got 14 yards. Right there on the 16, they need about really less than a yard. With the kicking situation being what it was, Dabo Swinney and his staff decided to go for it, and the Tigers were stopped, making it 0 for 4 there in the red zone. They weren't 0 for 4 for the night, but those 4 opportunities, had they converted just one of those into points, even in 3 points in one of those, 25%, they would have won the football game in regulation. Wasn't to be. So a very tough loss for Clemson. Now let's talk about some good things coming out of this. One, the defense is very good. We know Jameis Winston didn't play, but the defensive line dominated the Clemson, the Florida State offensive linemen. That's got to make you feel good. We knew that Clemson's defensive line was good. Vic Beasley disrupted plays. Stephon Anthony from the linebacker spot had a bunch of plays and tackles and sacks. They were a very good defense, and Florida State really had a hard time out there offensively. Also, no longer a quarterback controversy. We've been talking about that a lot with Clemson. Deshaun Watson's your starter. He deserved it. The guy's impressive, well beyond his years, considering he was a high school player. I pity anybody that had to cover him and play against him as a high schooler last year. The guy is a man among boys, even here in college as a freshman. He's going to be a great, great, great player if he stays healthy. The sky's the limit for Deshaun Watson. He is going to be a very good player at Clemson, and it starts now. We saw a change into the guard. Deshaun Watson is the starting quarterback. So Clemson has to regroup. Now they've got the two toughest games behind them. They lost them both in different fashions against Georgia and Florida State, but Dabo Swinney thinks he has a pretty good football team, and they showed you some signs why. I mean, this is a Clemson team that is more than capable of getting on a run here the rest of the way, and that's not putting it lightly. If they don't have a letdown, I mean, Clemson should be favored in all the rest of their games from here on out, including South Carolina right now, the way the Gamecocks are playing and that leaky defense. So, this could be a run. And if Clemson's sitting at the end of the year at 10-2, who knows what's going to happen with Jameis Winston and Florida State? If that would be enough, they need FSU to lose 2, tall order, but 10 wins, where does that put them at the end of the year if they run the table from here? Tough to do, but certainly, like I said, they're going to be favored in the rest of their games in all likelihood as it stands right now. So that's going to do it from here in Tallahassee. We've got lots of Dabo Swinney audio. You can hear from Deshaun Watson and Chad Morris as well, and we'll have the Sunday teleconferences for you. If you're watching this, it could already be up, depending on when you're watching this, and of course, next week we'll have a complete breakdown and your phone calls on Sports Talk as we wrap things up from Tallahassee. So Clemson can't quite get it done. Come up a little bit short, and now they'll see what they can do for the rest of the season. That's it from here at Doak Campbell.